Okay, now we're going to speak to Gurav after the Lionesses 3-0 friendly win against Australia at Pride Park last night. Good morning, Uma.
Good morning, Sam. Yeah, no toys thrown out the pram for me last night. I'm happy. I'm
Yeah,
happy after Lionesses win.
really good win. Obviously, it was the first game against Australia after they knocked them out of the World Cup. So everyone thought Australia were going to come in absolute, with a bit of a chip on the shoulder, something to prove. But that wasn't the case. Early disallowed goal for the Lionesses, but that soon followed by a red card for Australia. I think it was about 17 minutes into the game. So that was massive, wasn't it, in terms of how the Lionesses were going to get on?
Yeah, it sort of set the tone, but I think even before the sending off, the Lionesses were on top. It was one of those games where, Australia are good and full credit to them. I think as an opposition, you'll recognise a lot of the names in that squad from the WSL, particularly from Arsenal, the likes of Steph Catley, Caitlin Ford, Sam Kerr, of course, up front. But the problem was whether or not it was to do with that defeat to Brazil earlier, England just didn't give them anything really. And I think in some ways, I was sad to see Alana Kennedy sent off because I want England to be tested against
Mm.
an 11-player team, which hasn't happened now in these two friendlies, which perhaps concern, and maybe that's the focus now in the next two friendlies in November. But yeah, full credit to them all over the pitch. They were absolutely fantastic. Can't fault them at all.
Yeah, full of confidence, full of intent. I've also got to ask as well, have you got any updates on the injury that we saw to Adjaman?
It's not looking good, is what we have been told from Serena Wiegman. Of course, we will wait to see the extent of that injury, but it's absolutely heartbreaking to see, 19-year-old Euros hero Michelle
Mm.
Adjumang being stretchered off Pride Park. It was in the 80th minute, and you never want to kind of speculate when a player goes down holding their knee, but
She doesn't
I
seem the
think
type of player, does she, to go down easily and not get back
that's the
up?
thing, and that's what we know about her from everything she's done, during the Euros and of course for Brighton and Arsenal. But I think it's concerning because actually it came out just a few days ago that this year alone in 2025, the number of ACL injuries is now nearing 150. And we talk about all this research and all the kind of activism that's been done about trying to prevent ACL injuries the last couple of years. And I think it's actually flying under the radar a little bit this year, but it's happening so much more. And I think, I'm still praying that isn't what's happened to her. But if it is, I think we have to start looking now and really asking these questions. What is it? Is it pitches? Is it boots? Why are there so many ACL injuries in the women's game? Because that question still isn't being answered.
Yeah, I think that'll be a fascinating one across the board for sports women in particular. Let's have a look at some of the debuts as well last night, in particular, Lucia Kendall. To go out at such a young, tender age and then go and win player of the match as well. Tell us a little bit about more and what a talent she is.
Yeah, she's actually a remarkable person because I was reading up about her a couple of weeks ago, and she used to play cricket for Hampshire, and she was actually selected for the England Women's Cricket Academy back in 2019, 2020. So she's a very talented
She's just one of those
young
annoying
lady.
people who's just good at everything, clearly.
I
Yeah.
know, I know. I mean, how are you good at two sports? But there you go. She's also very, very good at football, as she proved, I think, on the international stage last night. I haven't seen a debut like that for the Lionesses since somebody you might recognise called Grace Clinton, who of course
Mm.
scored on her England debut. Lucia Kendall's so unlucky not to score on her debut. She hit the post, but she had the most shots on target of any player, I think, in that England squad. One player of the match. And I think actually that is exemplary of the fact that when you give a player an opportunity in a squad which is normally so watertight and there's not a lot of new players coming in, that's what they do. They want to prove themselves. And I think for Serena Wiegman, actually, maybe I was really glad to see her play some new players, and I hope she continues that forward. For Lucia Kendall now, I think it'll be a challenge of can she get into the squad when all those injured players are back in, the likes of Jess Park and Lauren Hemp. But on this showing, she 100% deserves it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think players like Aggie Beever-Jones, who scored a goal as well, to come in, make an impact, to ask questions of some of the senior players, who's going to start in 18 months' time when the Women's World Cup comes around. I guess it's healthy, isn't it, for a strong Lionesses team?
It is, but you know what? I'm going to say it, and I've said this since before the Euros. I know Alessia Russo was absolutely fantastic at the Euros, and of course we won, which we'll always be very happy about. But Aggie Beever-Jones, for me, is a shoe-in to start for the Lionesses. Her form at Chelsea is absolutely incredible. I think she scored four now in the first six WSL matches that she's played. And look what happens when you reward her with a start. She was just a couple of days ago, she was awarded top scorer for England this season, and that's with the limited number of minutes that she's played. I think she provides something that Russo doesn't. I'm not saying, before everyone comes at me, don't play
Yeah.
Russo for England, because I get that she's that player that has to be there. But look at how they
But the
work.
numbers, like you say, the numbers don't lie.
And she's that fox in the box character. She just
Get them
provides
both up front.
something.
It'll be great. But 18 months for Serena Wiegman to decide. Uma, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And
Thank
as
you,
always,
Sam.
lovely to speak to you. And that open flag, by the way, the signed open flag looks sick. But have a good day. Thank you very much.